So in the last video, which may not be the last video, depending on the order, I talked about achieving reality and how when you see other people, you don't see them for who they really are, and and how perception has distortions. You can check that video out if you want to. Um, Achieving reality and its value is, to me, that reality, or what of it we can perceive and contain within our very, very small minds compared to its vastness, is it's the common grounds. It's not, like I don't want to be like mystics are boring. Mystics live incredibly fascinating lives. They're just hard to integrate with, you know, or anyone with strongly non-scientific ideas. They're interesting, and they live interesting lives, and they create interesting art, and they see things in interesting ways, and these are all things I can consider positive. I mean, there's always an opposite, which is that some people are megalomaniacs, and that they're similar to mystics and anyone else who strays from hardcore reality, uh, in the sense that they're sort of an actor. I'll use, how about Satanists and Buddhists or something? They're not exact opposites, but whatever. It gets the point across. It doesn't have to be religion. It's just religion is one of the most self-affirming of cultures. So therefore, like feedback. Like mic feedback at a concert, where it grows really fast because it's super self-affirming, because it's like anyone who doesn't agree is just gone. You can't really be a questioner in religious sects, um, for the most part. So these are both forms of a person essentially acting, in my eyes, that they're embodying a character. Because at the root of it all, I believe, if you really, really try to go to science, you could say that who we really are on the inside is who we were when we were born. That is the ultimate reality of self and of being, is that we're nothing. We're potential, but we're not organized or anything. There's no way of knowing. It's I'm getting a little fluffy here. The point is that I think that's a much better definition of who we really, really are on the inside, is clay. But then as you work outwards, you sort of harden and then begin to chisel that clay. And there's an old saying, which is that, like the uncarved stone, and the concept of how do you go back to it. It's basically, you just have to realize that it was never stone, it was just clay. You can always wet it up again. That's my reality. Could be wrong. You see, it's quite mystic in its own way. But anyways, Buddhists and Satanists, they're both actors. They both embody a character, and it's unrealistic because they both exist. How could both of them be right at the same time? Well, they can't. Same with every other conflict. It just means that they're both wrong. But if neither of them thought they were right, then we wouldn't end up with any interesting characters. So, to some degree, I'm sorry about the light going off, whatever. To some degree, we need to be able to stray from reality, which is that, these characters we make up for ourselves are not real. And I guess I like to think of it as being either scientific or being an actor. I might have said that already. Um, if you're being scientific, you work towards this concept that's kind of an abstraction, which is to say that who we are is just a series of relationships that are completely arbitrary. You could believe that you can love dogs or hate dogs depending on whether or not one bit you as a kid, right? It's arbitrary. It's not like dogs are good or bad. There's no way of knowing. I mean, because they can't be good if they bit someone. They can't be bad if they hurt them. freaking, I like dogs, so they can't be bad, right? Um, it's both. It's arbitrary, and everything else is too, because you know that's who we are really on the inside. Is that infant, that unknowing being, just cast out into the world, trying to make associations using their senses. Um, that's what I think reality is. It's kind of boring though, right? Like, what if we were all the time like, I don't know. It's just an association of mine. Like, it would be boring. There'd be no characters. There'd be no drama. There'd be no story. And personally, to a large extent, I could deal without a lot of this in my eyes, because I think there's more than enough art to be made to keep me entertained without any drama. I could live a whole life just perceiving beautiful art and be perfectly content to have never dealt with a single melodramatic story. But people seem to enjoy these characters and this stuff, and to a large degree, I don't think a lot of the things that have been invented would exist without it. I don't know. That's a whole other question of whether or not do we wipe the slate clean and say it was all a bunch of drama and enjoy an infinite life of art, or do we hold on to it and say no, there's something good in this, and kind of end up with the word for devil means back and forth. Do we get stuck in that? I don't know. Not the guy to ask. Point is, reality. You try to achieve it by being scientific. Obviously, you study what's there. And then everything else, characters, acting. You embody a set of ideals and disembody another set in the act. I personally believe that we should all be capable of coming back to center. That no matter what, if someone says pause, everyone should be able to stop and be like, or at least around them be like, yeah, no, I'm just acting. I'm just living my life right now as, Scott the frog enthusiast. And then maybe later I'll live my life as Scott the, I don't know, jetpack lover or something. The snowboarder. Who cares? There's 1,000 different lives to live. You wouldn't get to live, well, maybe you could live all of them, but I don't think you'd get so into them if it wasn't for the character thing. Who knows? I really do speculate that we could go, I could enjoy snowboarding and frogs equally without making them obsessions. But maybe having obsessions is what makes things more interesting. I don't know. It's untried. It's a human test that I don't think I've really seen in action, at least not on any large scale. It's the point, though, is that I think reality is worth trying to achieve, not for the sake of being boring, but for the sake of being able to integrate with everything else, because it's the common ground. And as much as I am interested in many of these stories, I'm not personally, I can't watch TV because whenever I see someone do something dumb and dramatic, I go, well, why'd they do that? Common one, Breaking Bad. He had it. Honestly, anyone intelligent in his position could have very easily become a drug lord with half the effort, half of the drama. But it wouldn't have been an interesting story. It would have been, oh, this guy, he knows how to make good drugs, and he's a good businessman, so he used his skill to make a living. It's not a really interesting story, like, it requires drama to be, like, suspenseful and all of that. For some people. Me personally, I just find drama to be, whenever I see it on TV at least, I recognize that people are going to try and pursue that in order to feel like a Hollywood character. And that means they're going to bring unnecessary strife into their life and other people's lives for the sake of having a more epic story. And that's just suffering. Thanks for watching.